Bruchim Abayim, and welcome to our few minutes together on the Parsha. This Shabbos we have the privilege of reading Parshas KI Savo. Everyone knows that Parshas KI Savo contains 98 different mentions of klolos, of curses that will come upon those who don't keep the Torah. And of course, despite the fact that Klal Yisrael over the years has periodically strayed, nevertheless, in the long run, there's never been a destruction of Klal Yisrael, because Hashem promised that even in the worst case scenario, the Jewish people continue to endure. Chazal tell us a famous statement that when it comes to the end of the year, as we approach Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, as we approach this, we're well aware of the idea that even though this Sedra is filled with very negative ideas, nevertheless, let the year end with all its negatives, with all its curses. Let the new year begin with all the blessings. And therefore, in Parshas KI Savo, even though there are many negative statements about the future for those who don't keep the Torah, nevertheless, the Jewish people have endured all along because of the bracha of Tochel Shana Uverchoseha. The year shall begin with all of its blessings. Rashi, at the beginning of the Sedra, makes mention of the fact that there are 98 different curses, 98 different klolos, which are mentioned in the Sedra. Now, it should be noted that we could ask a very interesting question. Why is it that on Rosh Hashanah the entire shul is decorated in white? The paroches and all the clay kodesh are in white. We wear a kittel. All the Sifrei Torah are covered in white. And of course, we're well aware that Yom Kippur, which is the culmination of all of these days, is because of the purity and the idea that we want to be clear and pure of any sin whatsoever, and so we wear white. That's one explanation for it. But there are other times in the life of Klal Yisrael where the color white does appear and it makes its presence felt. Most notably when it comes to a wedding. When it comes to a chasana, the chasan and the kala, the chasan wearing a kittel, the kala wearing a white gown, wear white as a sign of purity. The ultimate goal of the chasan and kala when they get married to build a home is to have a home that's filled with Shalom Bayis, a house that's filled with peace in the home, where a husband and a wife treat each other in such a way that brings about only the purity that was designated for them when they stood under the chuppah. Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur leading up to it, of course, is also a concept of Shalom Bayis. What we're trying to do is bring about the peace between our Father in heaven and Klal Yisrael, between the Jewish people and each other, between the Torah and the adherents and the people of the Torah. We're trying to bring about a purity that goes back and harkens back all the way to the beginning of the time that Klal Yisrael became a nation, in the purity of receiving the Torah at Har Sinai. And we search and are eager for that particular moment. And so the color white is a remembrance of that. Now, the Chidushei Harim, Rabbi Yitzchak Meir Alter, the original Rebbe of Gur, makes a very interesting statement. He says, if you'll notice, when it comes to Sheva Brachos, the 7 blessings that are said for a chasan and kala, there are 7 days in the Sheva Brachos week, and the minhag for many is to have, every time there's a seudah, to recite the Sheva Brachos. Now, if you have 2 seudos a day, and you recite Sheva Brachos at each of the seudos, that's 14 brachos a day, and there are 7 days of Sheva Brachos. 7 days of 14 brachos is equal to 98, because just as Parshas KI Savo has 98 klolos, the concept of the purity of the chasan and kala and the Shalom Bayis that we intend to bring negates those 98 klolos, and brings about that there's only bracha for the Jewish people instead of klola, and consequently there are 7 days of Sheva brachas twice a day, and that's 98 brachas. When we come together on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we are coming closer to each other and to the Torah and to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what really is happening is that the Jewish people are making a Shalom Bayis between the people, the Torah, and Hashem. And we're once again making peace amongst all Klal Yisrael, whose purpose is only to keep the Torah and to make the world a better place to live. That can only be accomplished by Shalom Bayis. And consequently, the white is not only a symbol of purity, but it's also a symbol of Shalom Bayis, and therefore the 98 klolos that are in Parshas Ki Savo is only a reminder of the fact that with Shalom Bayis we can negate all the bad things that are possible to happen in this world and bring about that Klal Yisrael has a tremendous Yeshua, not only for this year, but for all years to come. As you can see, I'm taking the opportunity to make this video for the shul, of course, here at the Kotel. And Yetz Hashem, when I come back next week, we're going to be back to our video in a different format. But at this particular time, we're here in Yerushalayim, Ir HaKodesh, which we'll eventually return to right after Yom Kippur. But at the same time, what we want to do is keep in mind that the Shalom Bayis is capable of being brought about by the Jewish people coming together with the Torah and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Yisrael, Kudsha Berichu, V'oraisa Chadhu. We're all one. I want to take this opportunity to wish a wonderful Shabbat Shalom and Mevorach to all our Mispalim, to all the members of our shul. Young Israel Bethel should continue to flourish and grow. And I'm very much looking forward to seeing everybody, Mirz Hashem, before next Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom U'Mevorach.